We have a problem in this case. This property is owned by a limited liability corporation, and you're gonna need to get counsel to represent you in this case. We've had several of these, some other landlords. But when Mr. Brown shows up, we'll make a record, but you're gonna need a lawyer if these properties are part of a corporation. We're still debating on trusts, but you can't have it both ways. You can't have a limited liability corporation and shield yourself from liability or treat it like a privately owned business. So this is one of the things we discussed at the landlord meeting the other night.
Is it still under the LLC?
The building's under the LLC. I don't think his contract was.
Mm-hmm.
We've been running checks on some of these properties. This is owned by SL Property Solutions LLC.
Yes. This is the only building I had. I had a partner and I ended up buying them out.
Well, if you take it out of the LLC and put it back in your own name, but
It doesn't stand. That doesn't stand for Scott. That doesn't stand for Scott Larkins. It actually stood for Sneed Larkins. But it works out good. Sneed, Brian Sneed was my partner on that at one time. This gentleman here is. Are we live?
Yes.
This gentleman's been a handful. He's got drug and I'm assuming mental problems.
All right, well, he's got 4 minutes to be here, so let's wait a minute.
Okay.
He was personally served.
He was.
Let's see what happens.
Did you hit a deer?
Apartment on Elm Street, we learned that's also in a limited liability corporation. We've advised that landlord the same thing.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Did you hit a deer?
No. Did somebody?
I saw your truck.
Well, I parked it in the parking lot this morning. I hadn't hit one as on my way in. I don't know if somebody backed into me or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. About a month ago, I saw you in town. It looked like somebody hit your car.
No, I'm okay. I've hit 7 in my day. I haven't.
Oh, yeah.
Hi.
Hi, I just scanned in about 20 exhibits to the Larkins case that I received through email. So it's in on base under today's date and exhibit.
From the defendant or from plaintiff?
No, plaintiff, I believe.
All right, Caitlin, did you send me some exhibits in this case?
Yes, I did.
All right, Mr. Brown is logging in. Here he is. As long as Mr. Brown is here, Lisa, let's give him those copies of those exhibits. Good afternoon, sir. Are you Matthew Brown?
Yes, sir.
I'm Judge Middleton. I'm just down the hall in the courtroom and you're in the conference room. Your landlord, Scott Larkins, is here and his office manager, Caitlin, is also here. I need to advise Mr. Larkins wants you to move. Multiple holes in walls. Holes have been punched through into the adjoining apartment and other issues. And they want you to move out of apartment 5. What's your position, Mr. Brown?
My position is I've repeatedly told Kate, because I can't get a hold of Scott, that people behind me are smoking meth and everything else, and they started banging on the wall first, so I banged back. And this building is old, and I've tried telling them the structural integrity of the building. They're worried about the units. They need to worry about the building. The building's about to fall. I have water leaks in my roof. They're damaging the panel or the sheetrock or whatever it is that they used. And the place was already pretty much, I mean, the walls, I mean, come on, you could fall into the wall and it would put a hole in it. And Kate sat there and said she put all this money into it. You know, it's cheap. I used to do.
All right, well, let me ask you a question. Do you wish to stay there, or do you wish to move?
I wish to stay. I'm willing to help pay for
They
it.
wish you to move. You spent 10 minutes telling me how crappy and terrible it is. So maybe you ought to think about going to another place. They want to terminate your tenancy. They've asked me to ask you to move. The law requires that I give 1 7-day adjournment. Mr. Larkins is going to have to get an attorney to assist him with this because this property is owned by a limited liability corporation. How much is the rent each month?
866,
Keystone pays his rent for him. He doesn't pay any rent.
but Keystone has not paid October or November's.
I had a letter from Kate stating that she pulled my grant, and by law, that's illegal. Because I worked hard with Keystone to get this grant, and it's a government grant giving to me for residency. And she went and pulled
We
Well, I
don't
know
have
about
those.
that. Well, they're trying to make you move. And you have a lease, and the rent is 866, whether Keystone pays it or not, but apparently hasn't been paid for 2 months, so you might check on that. But irregardless, they want you to move.
I found out the reason why there's late payments is the lady that's in charge of doing the payments, Sandy Cook, is no longer at Keystone, and they're
Yeah,
having.
she was great. You're right. Sandy is gone from Keystone.
They're having to acquire someone else to take over doing all that work that she did.
Well, the law requires that I adjourn this for 1 week. Mr. Larkins is gonna have to get an attorney or I'm gonna adjourn it again. But that takes us to next. Monday. Are you available at 2:30 on November 21st?
Yes, I have another show cause hearing here at 8:30 in the morning for Judge Stutzman for show cause. It's not for any charges or nothing. It's just for past.
Yeah, it's paying on an old thing. All right.
Is there any way you could schedule somewhere close to that since I'll be in town?
No, Monday morning. Let's see, maybe I can. I don't want to be impossible about it. Let's see how bad it is. Yeah, I suppose I could, as long as you're gonna be here. Could you do it at 9 o'clock on Monday?
Like I said, I got the show cause at 8:30 and I just come in, sign in, get a continuance paper.
All right, Scott, can you do it at 9?
I'll make sure to.
All right. Now, let me repeat. They want you to move. They want to terminate your tenancy. They allege you're pounding holes in the walls. Your rent's not been paid, whether it's Keystone or you, they're not getting their money. If they get what they asked for, you would have 10 days from next week to move or be subject to being evicted. Also, he has to have an attorney because this is a limited liability corporation. But we'll deal with this further. I said at a special time just for you, so you can be here next Monday at 9 o'clock.
Sure.
All right, we'll see everybody then.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
This is, as I indicated, a termination of tenancy act. So Ms. Thornton, I apologize. I bet I wrote your name as Roberts on 5 different files. Will you raise your right hand, and Mr. Brown, would you raise your right hand? You all swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I swear.
Mr. Brown, they want you to move, and they indicate in their pleadings that you've damaged the apartment. And you indicated you don't wish to move. Keystone was paying your rent. And they have not paid October or November's rent because of this. Ms. Thornton, has any rent been paid? You wouldn't accept any?
No, nothing has been paid since the end of September.
And I've heard Sandy Cook that deals with the payments and stuff.
She's gone.
She's
Sandy
no longer
left.
there.
I almost hired her here, but she ended up moving on somewhere. But they want you to move. What's your position?
I'd like to work it out with them. I'm more willing to, you know,
Well, they don't wish to work it out. No one's paying your rent. You're not paying your rent. Keystone's not paying your rent, and they allege that you've damaged the apartment. Ms. Thornton, tell us about the damage to the apartment and what caused the filing of this action.
What caused the filing of this action was Matthew Brown had punched a hole through his closet into the adjoining apartment, into someone else's apartment. Before that, we were just dealing with a lot of noise complaints, but that's when it escalated. And after we continued to receive multiple complaints of him being loud, banging around in there, screaming, yelling. I've had tenants say that they don't feel safe being there. They've asked to move, if we can move them to some other unit because they no longer feel safe.
And for that reason, you filed this petition.
Yes.
His tenancy is month to month through some sort of Keystone system. And have you had any contact with Keystone?
I've spoken with Kelly Tackett, and from what I understand, she's dealing with moving her offices and just trying to get settled and sort through what she has, but I haven't gotten any information regarding payment.
Well, this isn't a non-payment of rent case, it's a termination case.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Brown, what would you like me to know?
that, you know, I get loud because I watch sports. I'm a loud person. I scream and yell. And I guess people feel intimidated because of, you know, I'm an aggressive person. I've always been aggressive. The people behind me, I didn't punch the hole totally through. The people behind me pushed in the wall. If you actually look at the wall, you can see it's pushed into my apartment.
Well, how did you come to punch a hole in the closet?
Actually, I didn't punch a hole. I got mad over a game and threw something.
Are there other holes in the wall other than the one in the closet?
Yes,
There's-
there are multiple holes throughout the bedroom, in the hallway. There's, it's not quite holes, but you know, the plaster has been dented in the kitchen. I emailed pictures last Friday of what the damage that I had seen at that point. And seeing as we've had more noise complaints and they, you know, other tenants reporting that they've heard him damaging things in there, that I imagine there's more damage since those pictures I took, but that's just making an assumption.
All right. Just a moment here.
And say the ones in the hallway are due to move like my furniture around, trying to maneuver small narrow hallway. So I don't have much, you know, space in it.
All right. Is there anything else you want to tell me?
I mean, I apologize and, you know, I wish I could have been a better tenant, you know,
I guess so. You got anywhere to go?
no.
Well, sometimes when
I have
something
no
doesn't
family.
cost anything, it doesn't have any value. Her testimony is that you are intimidating and scaring the other tenants, that you've done damage to your apartment by punching holes in the wall. No one is paying your rent. Although that's not a non-payment of rent case, so they're also losing money on this. And you acknowledge that you're aggressive and loud, and you're sorry that people are intimidated. Are you working someplace?
I work here and there with a gentleman named Tom Walter. We do detail yard work, but he's been ill and stuff, so I haven't been
he's-
working.
Well,
I'm sure you've heard of him. He's well
I
known in
know
Three
him.
Rivers.
yeah, he's done a lot of stuff around here, but that's not the kind of job that pay this kind of rent.
Right.
You're gonna have to
My
move.
background kind of holds me back on a lot of jobs too. So
Well, I don't know about
I
that,
mean, I
but
do
there's
try-
lots of jobs
I
out
do
there.
go out and try. I've gotten turned down by a lot of jobs and just get frustrated over it.
Where are you from originally?
Texas.
And I don't know a lot about your background, but I know they don't want you as a tenant anymore, and you've got a month-to-month lease, and they're alleging that you violated it. You have 10 days to move out, which is gonna be December 1st.
Could I at least get it pushed to 2 weeks, 14 days?
Well, they can give you that. 14 days would take us to December 5th. Mr. Bush or Caitlin,
I'll
Do
make
you-
an agreement. If they get another complaint, I'll move out.
no, they want you to
Immediately.
move out.
Well, I'm just saying, instead of 10, give me 14.
All
but
right,
if
are
get
you willing to
another-
give him 14 days? And then you don't have to go through the whole eviction process if you go to December 5th.
If you get another noise complaint, you can boot me out on the spot.
Ms. Thornton, do you have any thought on that?
I would have to talk with Scott to get his opinion on that
Alright.
too.
I'll leave it. They can agree to give you an additional 5 days. But this started way back. They filed the notice to quit in October. And so that's, no rent has been paid since then.
Yeah,
And
I've
you
had
haven't
this-
made any provision to move anywhere, hoping that this day wouldn't come, but it's here.
I've had the same issue getting a hold of Keystone.
Well, Keystone's not gonna save this tenancy.
But I'm just saying, I'm talking about the rent that's due.
All right, well, they're at this point, the rent is kind of irrelevant. You might need some rent to get to the next place. Couple problems. People got used to Keystone or somebody else paying their rent. That money ran out last June, and we're struggling each landlord tenant day with people hoping there was gonna be someone that's gonna come in and pay their rent, and it doesn't happen. The reason you can't pay your rent is because you don't have a job. But there isn't anyone else that's gonna pay it. So that's one issue. You're not a good tenant because you're not paying the rent. But over and above that, they want you to leave because you're intimidating the other tenants. So don't worry about the money at this point, but you've got until December 1st to move out. When you do move, you have 4 days within the time you move to turn in your keys and give your forwarding address within 4 days of your moving. I would suggest you might want to go straight from here over to Keystone. You're in Centerville anyway. See if you can talk to somebody and see if they've got someplace for you to move to. But I can't believe somebody wouldn't hire you for something around here. There's so many companies looking for help at
Well,
15
the
to
problem too
18.
is my transportation. It's between my transportation and my background. I mean,
Well,
I'm a good
you could-
worker. It's just,
You live in town, of course, you're gonna move, but you could go to all the places, Precision Wire.
that's what I'm trying to get back into.
All
That's where I worked when I first moved in.
right. Pizza Hut, Little Caesars, those are, but I don't know where you're gonna end up, but you're not gonna be here on North Main. Mr. Bush, you didn't have to do too much here. Obviously, Caitlin and Mr. Larkins do a good enough job on their cases, but when it's a limited liability corporation, they do need representation.
I'll
there
prepare
is-
the judgment. What name do you want me
No,
to
I've
use?
got a
on the-
judgment here, John.
Okay.
I'm gonna use December 1st. Now, let me tell you this, Mr. Brown. Caitlin indicated she would talk to Mr. Larkin and see what his position is. But the Larkins may decide to give you an additional 4 days, or they may not. Eviction's an ugly process. The sheriff comes in and puts all your stuff out on the street. It's much easier to get the people to move out voluntarily. Your problem is it's winter and you don't have anywhere to go. And you don't have a car.
I mean, I only have two choices, either go to Keystone, be on the street, or go back to Texas. So,
Well, I guess there's a couple options, but I would suggest you take this over to Keystone with you. So I find that the plaintiff has substantiated a cause for termination of tenancy for several reasons. I want you to go out to the counter. The ladies will give you a copy of this judgment. You have 10 days to appeal it right out here.
Okay.
And take it over to Keystone and see if they've got any options. What part of Texas are you from?
Dallas.
Dallas is a big place.
I was born and raised.
It's also a lot warmer there than it is here,
It's
but
like 50
this
degrees.
might be a good time to head for Texas.
Well, I've got friends down there.